Hello and welcome back to our new episode of Rudel & Partner presents The Lighthouse, Talks with our India experts. India being in the limelight for global manufacturing has raised a large interest and demand to acquire properties for operations of manufacturing companies. Hence, to shed light on this rather complex subject, I would like to call upon an expert in the area of infrastructure and real estate, Mr. Akash Valappil. Akash has been working with Rudel & Partner as a senior professional since 2021. He is a qualified lawyer with many years of experience specializing in real estate and corporate laws. He primarily advises medium-sized and global companies on their real estate transactions, general corporate, M&A, and litigation management in India. His main focus is on real estate and infrastructure transactions, general corporate advisory, and litigation management. He has extensive experience in the implementation and management of Indian due diligences, M&A, private equity, and venture capital. Welcome, Akash.
Thank you, Anushrii. It's good to be here.
So, Akash, as we are aware that Rudel & Partner has an extensive experience in dealing with this subject, can you please tell our viewers how a company should plan to acquire land in India?
Sure, Anushrii. So, land acquisition is a capital-intensive activity. So, companies should thoroughly plan this activity so that they can extract maximum benefit out of it. So, first and foremost, the company should finalize on a location. To finalize a location, the company should engage professionals who can scientifically analyze what is the best suited location for their plant and their business. For example, what is the distance from their plant to their customers and vendors, because this has an obvious logistical impact. What are the subsidies and incentives provided by the government? Distance to airports and seaports. Supply and quality of labor. Supply and quality of electricity, water supply. These are a few factors which have to be analyzed before you can finalize a location. We also recommend that the company begin their incorporation process in India in case they do not have any presence in India as early as possible. Now, this is a prerequisite for land acquisition in India. The process for incorporation in India is also time consuming and has multiple compliances. Hence, we recommend that this should start as early as possible in their land acquisition journey. Also, at this planning stage, we also recommend that the company should decide if they intend to acquire the property on rent or they intend to purchase it.
So, Akash, why is it important to plan if a company wants to rent or purchase a land?
Sure. So, the decision to rent or purchase a property has an obvious impact on the overall budgeting of the project. Further, the properties available in the market for renting and for purchase are different, thereby reducing the time for scouting. Now, at this stage, the company can also decide if they want to take up a plot in a governmental industrial park. A government industrial park has various advantages. However, private lands have their own advantages too.
So, very interesting point here. What are government industrial parks and how does it differ from a private land?
So, government industrial parks are parks which are owned by the government and they are provided for long-term leases. Government industrial parks are lands which are owned by the government, which is specifically developed for industrial activity. These industrial parks offer various infrastructural benefits like wide roads, power supply, water supply, etc. For example, in Maharashtra, we have the Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation, or MIDC, which is the government body of the state of Maharashtra, which has multiple industrial parks across Maharashtra. Now, MIDC offers land parcels for a long-term lease of 100 years, so the company will not be able to own the land. Also, the land parcels in government industrial parks are not freely transferable. Private lands, on the other hand, are owned by individuals or legal entities. These lands can be fully owned and are freely transferable, unlike government industrial parks. However, it may not have the infrastructural benefits which a government industrial park may offer. Also, the due diligence of a government industrial park is much easier and less complicated than a private land.
You just mentioned about due diligence. So, can you tell our viewers what is due diligence and why is it important?
Let me start by saying that due diligence is one of the most critical activity when it comes to land acquisition. There are a couple of due diligences which need to be conducted before the company acquires the land. First, it is important to conduct a legal due diligence to ascertain the title and marketability of the seller of the land. In simple words, it is a process to ascertain if there are any legal issues on the land. Second, it is important to conduct a technical and environmental due diligence to ascertain if the land is compatible for a factory to be constructed on it, and ascertain if there are any environmental hazards like soil contamination, etc. As discussed, land acquisition is a capital-intensive activity. We strongly recommend due diligences to ensure that the company doesn't have to deal with litigations or technical environmental challenges in construction after acquisition of the land. Dealing with these issues post-acquisition is a very expensive and time-consuming affair. Unfortunately, we have seen businesses fall apart because of this reason.
So what comes next after the completion of due diligence?
Depending on the outcome of the due diligence, the company may decide whether to move forward with the transaction or not. If yes, then typically the parties can enter into a leave-in license, a lease or a conveyance deed, depending on the rights the company intends to acquire. Each kind of agreement has their own challenges, which has to be thoroughly reviewed or drafted by a lawyer.
Thank you, Akash. I'm sure our audience have got a fair idea on this topic. But of course, this topic is a complex one which requires much more time and detailing.
That is correct. Like you rightly said, we can talk further on what are the critical terms in the agreements we discussed, or what are the documents that can be reviewed in a due diligence.
Right. And if our audience have any queries regarding this topic, please feel free to contact Akash. Akash's contact details are given in the bio of this video. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Anushrii.
With that, we wrap up our today's session. Dear viewers, we would be delighted to remain connected with you via our series Rudel & Partner presents The Lighthouse, Talks with our India experts. Until then, take care and keep growing your business.